Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Israel Brief. I'm Rolene Marks, and you join me every Monday to Thursday to take a look at the top stories making headlines in Israel. At the moment, we are very deep into Operation Rising Lion, the military self-defense offensive, and I'm going to explain that a little later, that Israel launched in the early hours of Friday morning to take out, to incapacitate Iran's nuclear program. Now, before I get into the latest developments, it is day 619 since the 7th of October. And while the world is focused on Operation Rising Lion, or Mifza Am Kalavi in Hebrew, because as it says in the book of Numbers, a nation that rises like a lioness uplifts itself like a lion. And of course, I spoke yesterday about the symbolism for the Iranian people of the rising lion, our two great civilizations who share a long bond that goes back millennia. And we want to see the Iranian people free of the totalitarian regime that doesn't crush just them, but crushes all of us in the Middle East and is responsible for the training of Hamas and responsible for the planning, along with Hamas, of the 7th of October. We don't forget, while we are so focused on this, that there are still 53 hostages that remain captive in the Gaza Strip. Yesterday was Father's Day, and along with my heart being full of love for my father, I thought of all of those fathers that are still held captive. We want all of them home now. The living to start the long recovery process, and the dead to be laid to rest with dignity. So let's take a look at the latest developments. And just a short while ago, the IDF issued evacuation orders to civilians in Tehran. Now, Israel has threatened that if Iran continues to indiscriminately attack civilian infrastructure, there could be consequences in the capital city. In fact, the defense minister made it very clear, we don't want any Iranian civilians to be killed or injured, but they could be displaced as a result of the regime's behavior. Meanwhile, many of us have heard from people, from Iranians around the world, who are celebrating, who are standing fully behind Israel's offensive. As I said to you on yesterday's show, Iran has kept the people of Iran, the Iranian regime has kept the people of Iran under the yoke of oppression for decades. We want to see them free. So last night, another devastating night for us in Israel. Two more massive waves of attacks of ballistic missiles into our cities. All of us having to run for shelter, including where I am. And where I am, the impact sites are relatively close. I'm in the center of the city, and we see that the Iranians are targeting very much the north and the center of the country. So the latest stats we have, as we are holding since Friday, is that we have 370 ballistic missiles launched from Iran towards Israelis, 30 impact sites, 24 fatalities, including children and the elderly, 792 injured, and this doesn't include from any UAVs or drones that have been fired at us, and over 700 people now left homeless as a result of ballistic missile strikes. Now, last night there was impact in the northern city of Haifa, in Bnei Brak, just outside Tel Aviv, and the city of Petah Tikva. And let me tell you something, guys, it is absolutely terrifying when we hear those sirens and when we hear those booms. As I'm trying to explain to people outside of outside of Israel rather, I don't know why I said South Africa, this is not facing off against a Houthi missile here and there, or something coming from Hamas or Hezbollah where we could take shelter and come out and everything's relatively normal. This is full-scale war. People are being killed, People are losing their homes and their everything, and people are severely traumatized, and many people injured. We are still on a war footing, which means that businesses, except for essential workers, are closed. So I'm going to read to you from the IDF spokesperson some of the updates operationally. So the IDF has struck 865 military targets so far. As of today, the IDF has attained full aerial superiority throughout Tehran as well. This includes the west of Iran, all the way through to Tehran. Yesterday, the IDF Chief of Staff said we have air superiority from the west of the country to Tehran. 20 plus senior commanders eliminated. The latest additions to that were the head of the IRGC and Al-Quds intelligence, along with their deputies. And last night on Fox News, Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the Iranians are the ones behind the assassination attempts on both him and President Trump. The IDF spokesperson goes on to say, last night IDF missile hunting sorties eliminated 120 missile launches using that same aerial superiority over Tehran. This is a full third of Romanian Iranian missile launches and reduced the size of yesterday's barrage by half. Now they still have many more ballistic missiles and drones, but our army, our air force are working around the clock, and we just get a moment of love and appreciation for the Israeli Air Force, for the men and women of the IDF, the Israeli Air Force, the Navy, the Shin Bet, the Mossad, every single one of them. Thank you, guys. And he goes on to explain, he says, that said, Iranian ballistic missiles still killed at least 8 Israeli civilians last night in 2 barrages that consisted of 65 missiles and dozens of UAVs. The threat is still active and still aimed at civilians. Now, I want to be very clear. Israel fires at military targets and nuclear targets. Iran is firing on Israeli civilians absolutely indiscriminately. I want to be very clear about that. We still have yet to hear any condemnation from the media, from people like Piers Morgan, who I know a lot of you have on your Moron of the Week list, and don't forget to get those morons and mentions of the week through to me. We've had no emergency session of the UN Security Council, no condemnation from UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and no condemnations from the human rights organizations like Human Rights Watch and Amnesty International, which allows me to think that maybe this is what they wanted all along. I couldn't have been more perturbed to see the streets of London yesterday filled with protesters saying hands off Iran, and then in the same breath calling for an end to nuclear war. I don't think these people, first of all, have functioning brains, and if they did, they would realize that Israel is not just fighting for us. We are the front line in the clash of civilizations. The Iranian regime has made it very clear when they chant death to Israel, death to America, death to the United Kingdom, and death to the West. Why do they want this? What is Iran's modus operandi? Well, it is purely ideological. The Iranians, the Ayatollahs, believe in a strain of Islam, or their bastardized version of Islam, where they believe that if they eliminate the great Satan, that is America, and the little Satan, that is Israel, in other words, what is perceived as the majority Christian and Jewish countries, then they pave the way for what they call the 12th Mahdi to come to the earth. He, I guess, would be the equivalent of a Messiah, and that would reinforce their caliphate, their dominance over the world. So this is what we are fighting. This is not the plot to a movie. This is real life. This is not, as I saw one commentator on GB News in London say, Prime Minister Netanyahu's bid to retain a hold on his premiership while he has to undergo corruption charges. This is not that. This is a threat that has been building through decades, and a threat that has been building through different premierships in Israel. And whether you like him or loathe him, Israelis, even though we are paying a very heavy price, understand the price that we are paying. It's not easy for us, but we understand why we have to take out what we call the head of the snake. Now, in addition to all of this, Israel has launched Operation Safe Return. We have about 150,000 stranded Israelis around the world trying to get back home. The airspace over Israel is still closed. And if you are watching this, you're Israeli and you're around the world, please keep checking Israel's Ministry of Transportation. Please keep checking the LL website for any updates that might be relevant to you. Now, G7 countries will be gathering. President Herzog visiting the impact site in Petah Tikva a little earlier today says when he speaks to his counterparts, he calls on all of them to stand behind Israel. The United States have threatened Iran that any attacks on US interests in the region, they will face an unprecedented response from the United States military. And the United States has also sent refueling tankers across the Atlantic to the region to help Israel, to help our planes refuel for sorties in Iran. Iran has also made it clear to Oman and to Qatar that they have no intention of taking part in negotiations, and according to some news reports, they have no intention of being part of non-nuclear proliferation treaties either. Now, in separate news, it was confirmed last night that the second hostage whose body was recovered last week is that of Aviv Atzili. Aviv, may your memory be eternally blessed. May your blood be avenged. And our love and our prayers and our hearts are with your family and your community. So those are the latest updates. This is where we are. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow for all your updates on Operation Rising Lion. But we do have a question, because I'm still taking your audience questions, especially now. And it comes from Lisa Mervis, who asks, Raleen, is it true that Iran were planning another October the 7th? Lisa, it's absolutely true. In fact, this is probably the most important question that anyone could ask. They weren't just planning another October the 7th. We actually had intelligence that proved that Iran, with their nuclear program, were at testing stage. They were ready to deploy a nuclear weapon against the state of Israel, where millions of us could be wiped out in an instant, where the state of Israel could be eradicated. This is not, again, the plot of a movie. This is not anyone's bid to retain power in the country, and anyone who says that clearly doesn't understand anything that is happening in the region. The plan that Iran had in store for Israel was infinitely more nefarious than October the 7th, if that is even possible. And that is why Israel saw the window of opportunity and acted as we did. So I hope that answers your question, Lisa. And guys, please don't forget, if you have any questions, please be in touch with us via our website, via our various social media. And in the meantime, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. If you find our information valuable, if you like it, or hey, if you just want to help us get news from Israel out to the world, please hit that subscribe button. We are on LinkedIn at Raleen Marks, on Instagram at Raleen_Marks, on Facebook at Lottel Site, on X at Lay of the Land 5. And guys, thank you so much for your incredible messages, for the prayers that you are sending my way. I cannot tell you what it means to us in Israel. I know many people outside of Israel don't understand just how serious this is, but you guys do. And your prayers, your good wishes, your support means the world to myself, to my family yesterday who were here while I was recording the broadcast, and to all of us in Israel. God bless you all, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.